Welcome to the RAMcast, where we talk about all things related to Sioux Valley. This is your host, Brian Kirby, and my co host, Jimmy Sickler.
Happy to be here, Mr. Kirby.
All right, once again, this is another one of our special spotlights. And today we have none other than Miss Sandy Dyson.
Good morning. Thank y'all for having me.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. So without further ado, let's get this show rolling. All right, Miss Dyson, tell us the name of your high school, the town and state, and the mascot.
New Hope High School, Columbus, Mississippi. Go Trojans.
All right.
Nice. All right, Miss Dyson, what song, band, TV show, or movie have you been watching or listening to?
So we have been very busy these days and we don't have a whole lot of free time after opening the store and taking care of 150 animals. But we do listen to music when we commute. And so when I'm with my husband, we listen to 80s rock or 90s country, reliving the glory days.
Yes.
Or if I happen to be by myself, I listen to K-Love, which is contemporary Christian, get my mind right before I walk into school each morning.
All right. Sounds good. I like it. So, thinking back to your glory days in school, which teacher had the most impact on you, and what do you remember about them?
I changed schools when I was in 5th grade, and it was a completely different setting than anything I'd ever been placed in. And so I had a math teacher named Miss Shepherd, and math was never my strength, but she took an interest in me, and I was an introvert. I'm sure you can't tell that at all.
No.
And so I wasn't really making a whole lot of friends because I was quiet and reserved. And so she took an interest in me, and not just in school, but she also was instrumental in getting me into playing softball and outside of school. And that's where I was able to start making those connections that ended up being lifelong friends.
I like it. That's awesome.
I love softball.
I
So
do too.
this leads kind of to the next question, though it might not be the answer. What was your favorite extracurricular activity?
And so softball would probably be that, but I couldn't
Yes.
play softball at our school and be in the band at the same time.
Mm.
And so I ended up
Oh.
having to play in our city league in order to get to play softball because marching season coincided with slow pitch at that time.
What did you play? What instrument was your band instrument?
I played flute, bass drum, and I was on the flag line.
Oh.
Oh.
Those are the flag lines, the ones that have the flag and they twirl them all around. Is that it?
Yep, you flip a flag
All
and
right.
rifle.
Oh, okay.
They hurt if you miss.
Yeah. All right. So, what does Miss Dyson do for fun outside of school?
So I enjoy spending time with my family. Usually that has something to do with animals as well. So anything outdoors, I like gardening. I like working with the animals. Um, I love to read. I just don't have a whole lot of time to do it. And anything that involves um, being outside.
All right. So when you were in school, what class did you find the most enjoyable?
I would probably say Coach Jones's biology and advanced biology classes. Um, and they were hard because they covered a lot of information, but I'm thinking because of my interest in animals, that was one of the reasons I
Yeah.
liked it. But he was also really good at presenting the information and making us want to learn it and making it easy for us to learn. And just a shout out to him, he is like still teaching after
Wow.
50 years
Wow.
and still going strong.
That's awesome. All right. That's amazing, actually.
It
So,
is.
so, with whom did you think you had your most meaningful relationship with during your years as a student? And it doesn't have to be a teacher. It could be anybody in the building. It could be your lunch lady. It could be janitor, custodian. It could be anybody.
I had a core group of friends from our church youth group for most of my middle school and high school years. But I started working my junior and senior year, so that didn't leave a whole lot of time for socializing. I was just blessed enough that several of those friends also worked with me, so I was able to spend time with them. And I dated a guy my junior and senior year and part of college, and so I would say probably those were my most meaningful relationships during that time.
All right. What is something you have learned about yourself since you started working with kids as a teacher?
Well, I learned that I'm extremely hard headed and um, that I like to have control and I tend to have a smart mouth sometimes. But I think the one thing that I learned that surprised me the most was that I absolutely love interacting with kids and
Mm,
people in general. And like I said, in my early years, I'm still an introvert, but
Hmm.
um, I love interacting with kids, and I've realized the importance of having people in your life, even when you are an introvert.
I think kids like interacting with you, especially with your southern accent. I think they like that quite a bit.
Well, I can get away with saying things sometimes that other people can't.
That's true. Very
Like,
true on
bless
that
their
one.
hearts.
Yep. All right. Knowing what you know now, what advice would you give your younger self, either entering high school for the first time or leaving for post-secondary training?
I would say just trust God's plan for your life. Don't try to force relationships, experiences, opportunities that just weren't meant for you.
Mm,
Um, enjoy the ride because He's got far greater things planned for you than you could ever imagine. I
all
mean, look
right.
at this. I'm living in Alaska
From Mississippi.
from Mississippi and loving it.
Yep.
All right. What is one of the most memorable moments you've had with your students?
So there are a lot. I've been doing this 29 years. The most memorable ones that stand out are when kids get things that were difficult or challenging for them. I had one student that had spina bifida, and her goal for the year that she was with me was to learn to use the restroom independently, and she did. And that just opened a whole new world for her. I had another student in a third grade who had struggled for 4 years trying to learn to read, and one day he just looked at me and he said, "Oh, letters say that," and he learned to read.
Mm,
And so those are the things that you look at. I also had a student who came to me who knew everything that there was that I was going to teach her that year, and she mastered her third grade, her fourth grade, and her fifth grade objectives,
wow.
and is now an ER doctor. So those are the moments that you live for. But I also think the field trips and the field days and the times that you get to see kids in a different environment and they get to see you as a co-learner, as opposed to the teacher-student relationship, those have been extremely memorable as well.
Yes, I agree. I agree. The outside the classroom setting is definitely memorable and educational to really know who the student is. All right, I'm sure you don't have any of these, but what might be one of your most embarrassing things that ever happened to you in front of students?
I guess dressing like an elf on Spirit Week is not count as one of those. So I would say probably the most embarrassing was fairly recent. It was the last year that I taught at my high school in Mississippi. And I was flying out that night to fly to Alaska to see my husband and son who were here. It was around Thanksgiving holiday. And so we were finishing up. Some of the kids were watching a media version of a novel we just finished, and other kids were finishing some assignments that they had not completed previously. And I realized it was too dark for them to actually be working while the video was on. So I got up to turn the light switch, and I tripped over a book bag and landed face down
Oh
on the
no.
floor. And, even though kids don't have phones at school, my neighbor was at my door before I could manage to get up because it had already made the group text and social media rounds.
Nice.
Yes. All right. What is your plan for after this school year is over?
Well, I will spend my summer cleaning up after animals because we'll have the petting zoo open during that time. But hopefully, I'll get to spend some time with my new grandbaby and daughter and mom as well over the break.
Awesome.
What follow-up question on that? What animals are anticipated to be in the petting zoo?
Well, we have a couple of emus and an alpaca, and we've got a
All right.
pony and several goats and some turkeys and some pheasants and rabbits and guinea pigs and
Wow.
parrots and parakeets, all kinds of stuff. We could go on and on.
Wow.
And I mean, I just live at a zoo, and that was even before we decided to open a petting zoo. But they're tons of fun. I love them almost as much as I love the kids I teach.
Okay. All right. It's awesome. So one last final question for you, Miss Dyson. Anything that we haven't talked about that you would like to add?
Well, my kids know that my parting words to them each day is to be a blessing, not a burden.
I like it. Good ending there. I appreciate that. So with that being said, from Miss Dyson, this is going to conclude our special edition of our talk with Miss Dyson here. And then once again, this is Mr. Kirby, principal here at Sioux Valley, and my co-host Jimmy Sickler. Appreciate you being here, man.
Thank you for having me.
Oops.
All right. And Ms. Dyson, thank you very much for your time and coming in. I appreciate it as well.
Enjoyed it. Thank y'all.
All right. And I hope you enjoyed this podcast as another way to connect with our Sioux Valley community. Hope to see you at the next school event or around the community. Thank you for listening.